welcome to the show. I continue to do interviews because, well, that's what I do. I do interviews. So I have a twofer today. First up is Rob Carlyle from the Compulsions, his second time on the show. And last time we talked to Rob, he was out promoting his new album, Ferocious. And now that album is out and it's getting rave reviews. So we're going to talk about that. And next up, I talked to the band The Dodies from Israel, garage rock band, and they are produced by Bumblefoot. A very talented duo, kind of a White Stripes sound, but it's very interesting how they do their sound with two people, and you'll get to hear all about that in the interview. Check it out. Welcome, Rob Carlyle from the Compulsions, our second interview together. How the hell are you?
Like everybody else, man, I'm hanging in as best as I can, so thanks for having me back, man.
Yeah. So, the new album's out, Ferocious, and it's getting some pretty good reviews.
I'd say pretty good is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, John Stoney, he put it on his top 5 albums of the year for Sleaze Rocks. I'm a big Sleaze Rocks guy. And then, I don't know who this guy is, Tony Pajar. He called it genius. That's pretty cool.
Imagine that.
No, but tell me the story. You said something about people accused you of writing your own reviews or paying people to write reviews or something like that.
No. No one's ever accused me of paying people to write reviews. But this is early on. When I had 5 reviews, probably. I'm going back like 20 years now. I remember I got a review from a guy, and his name happened to be somewhat similar to another guy that we all hung out with. And so everybody just assumed that it was like, because I was friends with the guy. And I'm like, no, that's a different dude, So, especially when you're first starting out and you're on the club scene and it's really competitive and everybody, at least back then, seemed to be trying to, what's the word? Kind of like, undercut each other and, and just, try and, everybody's trying to put everybody down and overly competitive and stuff. So people would just try and find any reason to just, disparage you and take you down a notch. So 400 positive reviews later, I think it's a little harder for people to do,
Is it really 400?
No,
but it's a lot.
But it's a lot. I've been doing this so long that the first EP that I put out was called Laughter from Below, right? And that came out like in, I think 2003, 2004. And that got insane reviews as well. And that was the first time out of the gate. So I didn't know what to expect. And a lot of those websites, you're going back almost 20 years now. A lot of those websites don't even exist anymore. So is it 400? No, but it's pretty high.
Yeah. So how does that work? Like, do you have to submit the music to these websites, or do they just find you, or how does that work?
Yeah, I didn't know that either in the beginning. Like when I first put out the first EP, I just sat back and waited. I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And nothing happens. So you have to, back then it was, again, just to date myself and date all of us for a minute, 20 years ago, yeah, there was an internet like there is now, but it wasn't like it is now. So you weren't submitting tracks, online or giving people. With this album, I sent out, a link. You probably got it back in the day. It was a link, and it was kind of like a sampler where you would hear like the bulk of each track, just enough to really get a good idea, and form an opinion on it. But back in the day, man, you had to throw it in an envelope with a cover letter and send it out there, and then just like hope that you heard back. So that's how you did it. Same with airplay too. I thought I had no idea how one gets airplay, but you got to go out and hustle for yourself when you don't have management and you don't have a label and none of that stuff. So yeah, it's all DIY.
And so that's what you're getting airplay as well, because you're sending it to these, like, what is it, like internet radio, or do you send it terrestrial radio, or?
Yeah, for this album, if you really want to know the truth, for this album, I did not do a big push for airplay because, I love everybody, but it just doesn't do you as much good as you would think it would do. if you really want to make an impact with airplay for real, you got to be on mainstream radio, so I've been mostly concentrating on reviews, and I've done a ton of podcasts with guys like you, which is totally cool. So yeah, you gotta do it. You gotta do it yourself.
Right on. I found this interesting that I knew that you had Bumblefoot play on this, but I didn't know part of the reason that you had Bumblefoot play on your latest album was to piss off your ex-bandmates Richard Fortus and Frank Ferrer.
More Richard than Frank, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, me and Richard didn't have a good. It didn't end well with us. So let me just leave it at that. And I have no idea if it would or but it's kind of like it's kind of like when you're going out with a chick and you break up and you go out with her best friend, just to piss her off, kind of that kind of thing. So totally catty, totally immature. But this is rock and roll. And Bumblefoot's a fucking world-class killer guitar player, and his name stands on its own. He doesn't need another band's name in parentheses next to him, so you know who the fuck he is. And so yeah, so if he took it as a fuck you, then he could take it as a goddamn fuck you.
Yeah, I wondered how you got Bumblefoot and all these other, Earl Slick and Rob Delaney and Alec Morton and Andrew Sherman and Hugh Poole. How do you get these guys? Like, did you just reach out and ask them? And did anyone turn you down? Is there anyone that you reached out to that didn't?
Well, all those guys, each one is a different story, on its own. In the case, and most of the time, there's a whole circle of really awesome, I want to say blues oriented, although that's probably a little bit limiting, but there's a whole circle of like serious musician cats who are not name recognition type guys, and they're all kind of affiliated with like the studios that I work with. And that's you mentioned Hugh Poole and Ken Rich. They've played on a lot of my stuff, and they've and they've produced a lot of my stuff. But then you mentioned like Andrew Sherman and Craig Dreyer and Ethan Eubanks and stuff. These are all like heavy, like I want to say blues type cats, even though they can do more than that. But they're not like part of the rock world, which is completely full of fucking shit. And they're just like, a cooler, breed, more down to earth class of guys. Typically, and then the other dudes who you're talking about, I'm not saying that they're not down to earth. Like you're talking about Brian Delaney and Alec Morton and Bumblefoot and Earl Slick. I just reached out to them just because we either had common contacts or whatever. Like I worked with Sammy Yaffa, for example, who was in the Dolls, and then from the Sammy connection, I made the connection to Brian Delaney, who was in the Dolls, and then from Brian Delaney, I made the connection to Earl, who was also in the Dolls for a little bit. So, it's kind of like one thing leads to another. Yeah.
So is there anyone that turned you down though?
Oh, turn me down. Yeah. Well, I reached out to Matt Sorum a while ago. Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah. And it was funny because what the hell was going on with that? Long story short, I was trying to make another version of the Compulsions, and I forget the whole deal, but I was talking with a booking agent, and he had this idea where he was going to do like a double bill with the Compulsions and Sherry Curry, if I'm even saying her name right, from the Runaways. So it was going to be like a double bill with us and her, and I needed a band. So I just reached out to Matt Sorum, and I was like, this is what's going on. And he wrote back immediately, and he was like, thanks for thinking of me, but I'm actually working with Sherry right now. And I think he made an album with her. He produced an album with her. So I guess you could say that was a no. And then I did reach out to Slash's manager one time.
Dang.
I got his name through the grapevine. Yeah. And this was before the reunion, the big GNR reunion that went down. This was probably like a year before, or even the same year, and it wasn't like public yet. So I reached out to the manager just to see what the response would be, if he would even write back. And sure enough, man, he wrote back right away, and he was totally cool. And he was like, thanks for thinking of us, but Slash is going to be real busy coming up real soon. And he didn't say what it was or what it involved. So yeah, I guess you could say I got turned down by Slash and Matt Sorum.
No, that's good, because I was gonna say, like, if everyone's saying yes, maybe you should aim a little higher, just because.
Well,
like,
I mean, dude, all those guys are like, I don't know if there is any higher. I mean, they're all like, that's such an upper echelon. So yeah. So those are two that I thought of right off the bat that you told me. That's probably the ones that would raise your eyebrows the most was Matt and Slash.
But are you even a Guns N' Roses fan, or are you?
Dude, I love fucking Guns N' Roses.
Oh, you do?
Kidding me? Yeah. I mean, I'm not. If you want to get into it, man, I thought Chinese Democracy was a fucking catastrophe. I know a lot of you guys love it, but I can't listen to it. But yeah, Appetite for Destruction was like, I was right in the age range of guys that was like that was going to appeal to when it came out. I grew up in the 70s. I loved Aerosmith and the Stones and Led Zeppelin and all that kind of stuff. In the 80s, there was a real lack of that kind of music. So I remember, I was listening, obviously you're listening to all your classic rock albums, but you're always looking out for something new. So at the time, I played the hell out of Tesla's Mechanical Resonance album. Do you know that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had that on cassette. I would play that in the car. And like, to me, that was like as close to Aerosmith as you could get. That guy's voice is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
So I love Tesla. And that was like, at the time, that was like my band that was like as close to the Aerosmith thing that you could get. But then I remember a friend of mine, we were in his car and I was like, dude, I got to play you something. You're going to love this. And he threw on Appetite. I'd never heard it before. And my mind was blown, because as much as I love Tesla and they're great, but what GNR had that was more in the Aerosmith vein was like the darkness and the danger, and so I loved that about, and other bands from that era, I probably never bought a Cinderella album, but I definitely appreciated the videos when they came on, or Rat was another one. I don't think I ever bought a Rat album, but at least that stuff was like, it had that like dark, dirty, dangerous element to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when GNR came out, it was like next level, So yeah, I love Guns N' Roses. Are you kidding me? And Izzy Stradlin, 100% is a big influence.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to make sure, because I obviously you cover Dust and Bones and stuff, but for some reason I thought last time we talked, I thought you weren't as big of a GNR fan. Maybe it's
I don't love the Chinese Democracy era stuff. I love.
What about the Use Your Illusions though?
Yeah, those are cool. I mean, I everybody has said this before, and I agree. You could make one awesome album out of those two that would, there's probably a lot of filler on there that I don't know if would hold up to in this day and age, like Get in the Ring. I don't know if I need. I
love that song.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. But like other ones, like Right Next Door to Hell and You Ain't the First and stuff like that, to me, that stuff was really cool. Bad Obsession. But just to clarify, when I put down Chinese Democracy, I've heard a lot of people talk about how they feel it's overproduced. And that's actually what I love about it. Like, I love the production value of it, which is like over the top, overdone, everything but the kitchen sink thrown at it. I love that. And I've borrowed that mentality quite a bit in the Compulsions world. Like, if you listen to the way we covered Cocaine, that has that over the top, and way we did Dust and Bones, and the way we've done, there's a song called Band of Thieves on the new album. And a lot of that stuff is not the traditional, two guitars, bass, and drums, sound. It's like, it's layered with so much, synthesizer and all kinds of stuff just to make it really dense and overdone. And the guitar tones are like overcooked and everything. I love that. But I also love songs that are really super catchy and don't sound like, after school special. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and that's kind of what I felt like. I thought a lot of the stuff on, I don't mean to put them down, but you're asking me. I thought a lot of the stuff on Chinese democracy was like kind of pussy.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's like sappy, or it's like, yeah, it's soft ballads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's some of it's like
So
some of those songs kind of grown on me though. Like especially when I saw them live with Bumblefoot. Actually, it was before the reunion, and I was like, oh, actually, some of these songs aren't that bad. They're kind of cool actually, especially with the guitar parts played live. They were kind of cool. But yes, there's like too many ballads on that one. I think they should have put more rockin' songs on it.
yeah, I mean, I know I'm not going to be real popular for saying it, but like, you're asking me my opinion, and I'm just telling you. And like, I let my albums speak for themselves, and it's like, you know, uh, whatever.
Yeah, so your this new album, I really like the songs. They really grow on you. But so when you're writing the songs, you said that you like to start with a cool title.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's really
definitely.
smart. Or you say a great riff. But the title thing is interesting. That you would just come up with the title and then go from there. So basically, you don't even have a melody or anything.
Right. I know a lot of people say they start out with a melody. I almost never start out with a melody. Uh, and everybody says, there's so many different ways to come up with a song. Like you said, there's the title, there's the riff, there's a chorus in your head. Sometimes it's just like a phrase, like somebody says something and you're like, oh, like for example, I remember watching back in the day. It was an Aerosmith. They were accepting an award on MTV or whatever, and I think it was either Steven Tyler or Joe Perry said something about about music in general, about how the origins of music was just what people did when they would dance around the fire, right? And I was like, dance around the fire, that's a cool song title. And if you look at the first Compulsions EP, there's a song called Dance Around the Fire. There's a song called Shake Hands with the Devil, because I love all kinds of music, including country music, and I love Chris Christopherson, and he's got an album and a song called Shake Hands with the Devil. And I remember seeing that thinking, oh man, that's a really cool song title. And his song is cool. It's a good song, but I wrote another song called Shake Hands with the Devil because you can't copyright song titles. Like there's a million songs called, you know, uh, just I know you're a fan, so there's a million songs called Night Train. Like go look at the Wikipedia page for Night Train, and
Hmm.
there's a ton of people that have written a song called Night Train. You can write a song with the same title. You can write Brown Sugar. But you better stand up to the one that everybody knows and loves. But what was the point I was trying to make? Yeah. So song title is like, I thought that was like the stupidest way to come up with songs until I read an interview with John Fogerty, who's probably one of the greatest, not probably, definitely one of the greatest, songwriters of all time. And they were asking him how he comes up with a song. And he was like, I come up with a title first. He goes, because I picture that kid. I mean, this is going back in the day. I picture that kid in the record store picking up the album in the bin, turning it over, and looking at the song titles. And I want that kid to look at the titles and be like, damn, I got to hear what that sounds like. So coming up with the titles is like, it's just a great way. To open up your mind and come up with stuff that maybe you wouldn't have come up with before, a choice of words that's not in your normal vocabulary. Or a lot of times, especially in the early days, I was like, okay, I know all my favorite rock and roll bands and all my favorite blues guys and all my favorite country guys. And I was like, they all have a devil song. They all have a fire song. They all have, there's always a wolf in there somewhere, and so I was kind of like going down the checklist, and the checklist is literally endless. There's a lot of stuff I still haven't done. So yeah, so Funk Number 666, Joe Walsh is a big influence, and I love him. He's got a song that I'm sure a lot of people know, Funk Number 49, which is incredible. And then a few years later, or maybe even before, he came out with Funk Number 48. And I remember thinking, Funk Number 666 would be a cool play on what Joe did as a title. Musically, everything's completely different, but just to take it the next step, And so yeah, so Funk Number 666 is one of those that started out as a title.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you bring that up about not being able to copyright a song title, because I just had Ryan Roxy on from Alice Cooper's band, and he was in a band called, I think it was Electric Angels, and they wrote the song. It was a very similar title to the Kiss song "Let's Put the X in Sex." I think it was like a slight different title, but like Kiss basically took that song title and then made their own song, but they basically stole the song title. And that's what he said. He goes, yeah, that's when we learned you can't copyright a song title. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. You could copyright melodies. You can't copyright, titles and album titles and song titles and stuff like that. That's like open season.
Yeah. It's weird now with the melodies. They're like, oh, this song, you ripped this song off. And it's like, sometimes you go, I don't know if that's really, and then they sue and there's these lawsuits, and I don't know. Sometimes like those things really are a little bit of a stretch to me.
It's something to do with like 5 notes, I think. The 5 notes in a row. I mean, there's probably somebody out there who's a legal scholar who's going to say I'm wrong, but I think there's something to do with like it can't be the same 5 notes in a row, which kind of makes sense. It's hard. Yeah, from a songwriting point of view, I could see where they would come up with that. It's hard for me to explain why, but yeah, it's the 5 notes. So in other words, if it's 2 or 3 notes, you could steal that, but you can't steal 5 notes.
Gotcha. So now that the album's out, it's getting good reviews. Are you going to tour? Are you going to do any live shows? Do you have any dates lined up? Do you have a band?
I mean, we're talking about that. It's just that with everything the way it is right now, it's just hard to just know what's going on. I'm constantly turning down offers to do, the live stream type thing. There's a couple of venues that want me to do stuff. And I don't know. I mean, now that it's opening up a little bit, maybe we would do it, but I just haven't felt right about, getting a band together to rehearse. And it just didn't seem like a wise move, but who knows? Yeah, it could happen. I mean, nobody's doing anything right now from what I could tell. I mean, nothing worthwhile, put it that way.
So New York is still pretty shut down?
It's pretty shut down. Yeah. I mean, there's a few people doing stuff, but it's like there's partitions up in the club and it's like they let 20 people in. And it's like, I don't know, man. Is it really worth it? I don't think so.
Well, so you say if you are going to put a band together, you say that you need like a borderline guitar virtuoso. And you have some guys in mind, but you don't want to say who they are. Are these people that have been in like famous bands, or are these more like local guys? Or
you heard the interview from last night, didn't you?
Yeah. I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh, this is good stuff.
It remains to be seen. I mean, I know Bumble doesn't. He put this out there, so I'm not really saying anything that he hasn't said publicly, but I know he really wants to take it easy with live appearances. So I got to figure something out. But yeah, I have some guys in mind of what I would potentially do, but it's just too premature to really even talk about. I wouldn't even want to ask guys to rehearse at this point.
Because of the shutdowns and everything, that it's too early.
Yeah, it's just and where are we gonna play besides? Like we're like for what? You know what I mean? So yeah, but both those things combined, it's just the clubs are not at full capacity, and I just can't see asking everybody to get together and rehearse. It just doesn't seem like wise at this time,
But eventually, hopefully, when things open back up, then that is the plan.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, and in fact, if that doesn't work, I've been working on another band. I keep saying that I have this like more blues based band that I've been working on. And, if I can't get a Compulsions lineup together, I got this other thing, and it's very much in the Compulsions wheelhouse, a little bit more down, that the kind of Rolling Stones influence that I have. So it'll be a lot less of the punk and the AC/DC type stuff. And it'll just be more, the heavy blues rock and like some Southern rock and country and reggae and funk and stuff like that. But it wouldn't be like the metallic side of what I do, just because the players that I have in mind, they excel on the other side. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think you should do a tour like, across the United States though? Can you get like a pack? And you probably have to do like a package deal, right? Because you couldn't just tour by yourself.
I would love to do a package tour. Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Who would you want to tour with if you could?
Man, that's a good question. I haven't even thought of that, I don't know, man. Who do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think. I mean, somebody maybe at the same kind of, maybe get like 2 or 3 other bands that are, you guys are on the same kind of level. And, I just say, like, just go for it. Who knows? Like,
I have a good friend of mine. You should check him out. His name is Nigel Mogg, and he's got a band called the Brutalists. And we would go, anything that I do would go really well with Nigel. Nigel's uncle was in UFO, and Nigel was in the Choir Boys. He was the bass player, but now he's the lead singer of the Brutalists. And we would go, I'm really good friends with him. He's a great guy. He lives on the West Coast, and I'm over here, obviously. But we would do great with them, just musically and vibe wise. That would be a lot of fun.
Okay, well, make it happen. Yeah, because I'd love to see you guys live. I mean, I doubt that I'll be in New York, and it sounds like you're not doing shows in New York anyway. So it sounds like you're gonna have to tour and get down here to Arizona, and
that would be great, man.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Are people playing over there yet?
Yeah, there's shows going on down here. Smaller ones, nothing like the big arenas, but the clubs they've had shows. Yeah, they've lifted the mask ordinance here, and I mean, they've got the vaccine. Like, I don't know how you guys are with the vaccine, but I think we're at like 41% of the state has the vaccine. We're almost like halfway.
What percentage we're at, but I got mine. I'm 3 weeks out from my second one, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, as long as you got the vaccine, I think it's probably a lot safer. I didn't know this. I saw this on your website. I don't know how I missed this, but did you have a song in the TV show Shameless?
Yeah, we did. They put a snippet of there's a track that we have called "She's So Fucking Sexy," and they used it. During some, like, it wasn't really a lesbian scene. It was like somebody thought they were looking at it and watched. It was complicated. I can't explain it, here, but basically it was funny. It was like a couple of girls were like having fun with a water hose and then like somebody filmed it on their phone, one of the characters, and then, or took pictures of it. And then they were looking at the pictures later on, and they thought what they were seeing was like a lesbian scene, which it wasn't. But they used the music to that song underneath it, and it worked really well. It was pretty funny.
How do you get hooked up with something like that? Because that's a pretty lucrative deal if you can get a lot of those, right?
Yeah, I have guys that represent me and stuff like that. And once in a while I'll get a call about, hey, do you have a song for this? Or how about if I submit this song? It's real hard to get when you don't have management, you don't have a label and stuff like that, because they're always hawking that stuff for you. But I do have some people representing me, and so at any time, I could get a call and something like that could happen.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, what other future plans do you have? Are you going to start working on another album, or what's the next step for you?
I have so much material in the works that I guess I just have to finish it and put out something else. I've been talking to some labels. I'm not sure what we're going to do, if we're going to do anything. It depends if the deal is right, but there's been talk of like either actually putting out some of the older stuff or brand new stuff. So I'm not really sure what's going on, but I have no shortage of like material to keep busy on. I'm going to do there's another podcast that asked me to do if they could use some Compulsions music as their theme song, and I'm going to do the voiceover for it. So I have a few, I'll do the same thing for you if you want, Chuck.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, I'm keeping busy. So
which podcast is it? Can you say, or?
I don't want to say because I want to make sure it comes out.
Okay.
It'll be on the way. If people are that curious, and it does work out, it'll be on the Compulsions website soon. So
would you see? I'm thinking what I'm thinking about doing is maybe for my theme song is like maybe having like a contest and just having everybody submit their best song, and then I pick the best one. Or could you like write a song? Because I feel like I need like some real vocals, like it's Chuck Shute podcast, like an actual like song that's actual like lyrics that, fit my show.
I've done one of those too. Yeah, I did one a while back. It was I did one for it was a British podcast,
Really?
and I wrote the lyrics for it. It was like a little sting. I mean, it cost a little bit of money to go in the studio and do that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
mean, I know a lot. I don't have a studio at home, so I know for a lot of guys it's not a big deal. But you also have to have the idea and the lyrics and the melody and all that kind of stuff, like you said. But I'm sure. I mean, I know you've interviewed some real, heavy, famous cats. I'm sure they would love to do something like that. What I was talking about was like, what I'm doing with these guys is I'm literally donating a track to them, and I'm gonna just speak the copy that they want me to say over it. So that's a lot less work than like coming up with something.
Well, that's cool. So it sounds like you got a lot of stuff going on. Well, like I said, I'd love to see you live if you can get down here somehow. That'd be amazing. Anything else you want to promote?
What kind of? I think we covered it all, man. I mean, I really appreciate you having me back on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we end with a charity that I think last time you did the World Resource Institute. So we can just put that in the notes again if people want to throw some money to that.
Hang on, let me just kill this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude, I love those guys. So yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks, Rob. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, keep in touch.
All right, take care now.
See you later. Bye-bye. So that was Rob Carlisle from the Compulsions. And next up, we've got the Dodies. Stick around. Well, welcome the Dodies to the Chuck Shute podcast. So it's Ran, and is it Yoni? Is that how I say your name?
Yoni. That's
Yoni.
how you say it.
Okay, cool. So you guys are from Israel. That's pretty far away. But I think Yoni, you're an American and an Israeli citizen. You have dual citizenship, right?
I've got dual citizenship. Yeah, I was born in Dallas, and I moved to Israel when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
But I am familiar with the culture.
Gotcha. So, listening to your music, I mean, you definitely have those 90s rock influences with this band. The Muse, Weezer, Nirvana. What else? What else were you guys growing up on?
Soundgarden.
You got it.
Got it, yeah. Radiohead.
Okay, fair enough. And then, so you guys started playing together when you were just kids. So tell me how the band came together, because you were like, what, 14 when you started playing together?
Yes. Ron would bash on the drums and I would scream into a microphone. I couldn't sing yet, but my dream was to be a singer. And, we played Bob the Builder covers, that Bob the Builder
kids TV show. Yeah.
Yeah. The kids TV show. Okay. And this was in Israel that you guys this is where you met?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So you did Bob the Builder cover. That's really interesting. All right. And then, so the band starts growing. So tell me about this. You guys have like it's like your mom's friend is kind of like a Patreon super fan, and she really believes in your music enough to where she flew you over to Austin and, did some recording there, and then, got you guys hooked up with Bumblefoot. How did you guys, find this woman? Because she's your mom's friend, she just listened to the music and loved it?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. I mean, I knew her as a child, but I haven't heard from her in years. And one day she just called me up and started talking to me about the album we recorded in Ron's room. And she said she loved it and she believed in it and she wanted to fly us over to the States and record shit and make us as big as the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
oh, shit.
But she didn't have connections. So how did she get hooked up with Bumblefoot? She just reached out to him and said, "What's your fee and I'll pay it," or what?
Well, we recorded the studio we recorded at had connections, and the manager, Matt Nevesky, the manager of the studio, he loved the songs as well, and he helped us too, and he helped us reach a man called John Gomez, and he knows Bumblefoot.
Oh, okay.
It's just another person rolled into another person. She didn't really know anyone herself that much.
Okay, gotcha. So then tell me about Bumblefoot's production style, because it sounds like he gave you a lot of freedom and he was kind of more hands off.
Yeah. Well, he added a lot of humor.
He added humor. So yeah, so what does he do? If he's hands off, he's got to be doing something, right?
He did tell us, you know, it's kind of cliche to say that, but he did make us sound more like ourselves in a way. We did the keyboard drums thing that we do live, but we always considered it a live thing. We never thought of recording that way. But he was the first one to suggest it. So
yeah, explain that. So it's like, you know, one of you sings and plays guitar, and then the other one, you don't play the full drums. You play a drum with one hand, and you play the keyboard bass line with the other hand, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing two instruments. Isn't that hard?
It is. It was way worse at first. Yeah, it kind of makes me play in a very certain way. A very specific. It's by now it's part of our sound signature, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And it was first done out of necessity, right? Because you didn't have a bass player, so you're like, all right, well, I'll just do the bass lines and the drums. Would you ever go back to adding a bass player and then?
Yeah, it came out of necessity. That's right. Right now, no, we're not planning on adding a bass player.
Not in the moment. Like logistically, it's been working out for us to be a duo. You know, it's cheaper and we don't have to fight with a third person, just with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but also like sound wise, that was one of Ron's great contributions, in my opinion, to say that, you know, we should record that way, not only as a live thing.
So when you recorded like playing drums with one hand. You didn't do the full.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I'm listening to this album. It's called One Hell of a Ride, and the songs are really catchy. They have good hooks, but yet they're really hard at the same time. It reminds me a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember like Mudhoney or Sonic Youth. It kind of reminds me like Mudhoney meets Royal Blood, or Sonic Youth meets Weezer. Kind of, because it's like got that hard edge, but then it's also got the kind of the poppier stuff. But tell me about Boiling Point. This is a catchy, fast rockin' song. You wrote the song when you were depressed and you felt nervous about having no sex with women in your 20s. Were you able to rectify that problem, or?
Yes, I was.
Oh, okay.
Through a great deal of therapy. I'm living with my girlfriend as we speak. She's right in the next room.
Oh, there we go. All right. So you really, but you were not, were you a virgin at the time, or are you just going through a dry spell?
In a way, sort of. I was, I was a virgin.
Wow. So is that song more about just frustration and stuff then?
Well, if you have issues with intimacy, you probably have issues with yourself. You're probably scared of getting close to people in general. Sex is just the representation of that, because it's an intense form of intimacy.
So do you use that, like when you write that music, that's kind of your way of kind of getting out those emotions though, and the frustration, by writing the songs about it?
Yeah, it's just being real about what you feel.
See, because I feel like that's a big problem with society. I mean, I don't know about over there, but like in America, we have a lot of these like mass shootings and stuff. And I feel like it's a lot of these kids that are just sexually frustrated, and then they don't know how to express it. They need to pick up a guitar.
Oh, yeah. That would be an idea.
Mm-hmm. or something, some sort of a creative outlet. So tell me about the song Sellout, because this song's a little bit more punky, but it's about touring with an Israeli pop star. Can you say who that was?
I'm not going to mention the name, but we toured with an Israeli, like, Avril Lavigne pop star girl.
Okay.
When we were very young with our older band called We Suck. And it was such a horrible experience for us, you know, especially because, like, they would film us and it was just very, it was like a part of the industry we've never been close to. Like, we always complained about pop being fake to a certain degree, but we've never actually been a part of it. And when we were a part of it, it was such a contrast to who we were as people that it was kind of traumatizing in a way, you know?
What do you mean by that? Why was it different?
That's what I mean.
What's that?
Why was it different? Because there was no artistic outlet. They would try and subdue us, you know, if we would go wild on stage. We're like, no, stop it. You can't go wild like this. People are going to think you are on acid.
So you were like the opening band? Is that what it was?
We were opening band, but we also accompanied the singer.
Okay. So yeah, because pop music is very different than what you guys are. A lot harder than pop music for sure. So so it's like you kind of had to change your style.
Hard thing. It's more about just being hard, you know. It's about being real about whatever it is you create, you know, and not just trying to crack the code to manipulate the minds of children to buy your album. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it wasn't a good fit for you then, basically.
No.
Okay. So, and then tell me about this song, Alien. This is a great riff, great song. But this was written about you being a patient in the Southern Israeli Psych department. Is that real?
Yeah, it's real.
Tell me the story. What happened there? Why were you in the Psych department?
I was just, it's not that I have any neurological disorder or anything like that, but I was very depressed in my early 20s, my late teens, for a few good years. And I just took care of that by going to the psychiatric department. You know, it sounds kind of dark, the fact that you were there, but I think most people should go to therapy in general. You know, It wasn't a bad experience. It was intense, but it wasn't, you know.
It was intense. Like, was it inpatient or outpatient?
Inpatient or outpatient?
Yeah, like were you hospitalized in the hospital, or did you just come in and do your therapy, then go home and come back? And
I would come in and it would go.
Okay, and so it was. So what kind of therapy was it? Was it kind of like you're going through your history of your life kind of thing, or was it more like?
I would sit down with a group of patients. Other people like me that came there. Well, everyone had their own thing, you know, schizophrenics or people suffering from OCD and we would just sit and talk with each other. And then we were assigned to a therapist to talk to us personally afterwards. And I had a very deep connection with my therapist, my personal therapist. And I would meet her for 4 years afterwards for free. I mean, she let me keep seeing her for free. And she was, I love that woman to the depths of my being.
That's a great woman. So it sounds like it really helped. So it's like a group therapy and then also individual therapy. And it sounds like it really helped you.
Yeah, it did.
That's awesome. And then obviously you got a great song out of it too. And then tell me about the song. I just love this title. I don't know what it's about, but Pussy Riot. That's just a great title for a song. What is that about though? It's just basically
What it sounds like. Yeah. I knew we had to have like one punk song, like all the way punk in this album. And at the time I saw the documentary about the Pussy Riot girls, and I was infatuated with them. Like I was in love with them, sort of. So I just dedicated that song to them. I had this fantasy about, being with the perfect punk girl or whatever. That's sort of what it's about.
I'm not familiar with that documentary. What is that about?
It's about Pussy Riot, the girls, the
What?
Russian girls who demonstrated in some Russian church against Putin and
Oh.
thrown in jail.
Huh. Okay. Well, I'll have to check that out. That's awesome. So people can find all this music on Spotify and YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, your music videos, you animate these yourself? Like, how hard is that? Like, for example, Alien. Like, how long does it take to make that video?
Well, I drew the animation and my girlfriend painted it. It took 2.5 months to draw all of that, and a month and a half to edit it together with the editor. And it was pure suffering. Yeah, we would fight a lot, and we just moved in together. Small apartment, Corona, nowhere to go. Pure suffering.
It's cool
But it
though.
came out good.
Yeah, I like it. That's very cool. So you guys toured the States in 2017. I don't know if you've been back since then. Is it hard to make money on a tour like that in the States? Or is the goal just to break even? Because I would think it's so expensive to fly you back over to the States and then to stay in hotels and all that. How does that work?
Well, breaking even isn't even yet in our vocabulary, as a band touring the States. We almost had like this real genuine tour. We had showcases in New York and California in front of people from the industry.
Okay.
But we haven't had like a genuine like great band to warm up. And we almost did, but we have bureaucratic issues because we're from Israel. They won't allow us to
I've got some visa problems. I'm the problematic one.
Right.
The non-American.
Yeah. So it's hard to get that visa. Like, how does that? I don't even know how that. It's just basically it's a nightmare to try to get all the paperwork and stuff.
Yeah, it's way harder than we first thought, for sure.
So is that something that you can try again though, and plan another tour in the U.S.?
Yeah,
that's what we're working on.
Oh, really? You are working. Can you say, are you going to be doing it by yourselves, or are you going to be? Is it a package deal with another band, or?
It's nothing. We're still planning it. It's with the whole COVID thing, it's still hard to really get into details as of the moment.
Okay. Now, but did you guys?
Our patron hired a lawyer for that issue specifically, and she opened up her own label. She created a label for it to be more legitimate of us to reach the States.
Okay.
Legally, it's a bureaucratic thing, but
all right.
But she went through great lengths for getting us back there legitimately, and now there's COVID, so we're just fucking stuck.
Right. Okay. So, but maybe I could look forward in the future. Maybe you'd be down here. I'm in Arizona, but yeah, maybe you'll be down this way at some point.
Yeah.
Or
please.
maybe with a package deal, like you want to tour with Radiohead, right?
Oh yeah, of course. We're far
Yeah.
from that, but we would love that.
You think you're far from that? Why is that?
Well, I can
One
try.
step at a time, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can try calling Tom York or Johnny Greenwood or something, but I don't know if anyone's gonna answer.
Well, yeah, maybe this patron can do like you guys can do a pay to play or whatever. I know that's like one way to get yourselves on these tours is you just pay. So I don't know how much your patron has, but if she's got the money, she could probably get you attached to some of these other packages. It's an option.
Yeah, let's hope it's not all about the money. Maybe they'll just love our music. And let us do it.
That would be amazing. Now, did you guys play South by Southwest, or did you just attend South by Southwest?
We attended South by Southwest.
Okay, so you haven't actually played there.
No, it would be illegal for us to play there at that moment.
Oh, okay, but maybe in the future.
Oh, please, Jesus.
Let's see what else. So, and you guys have already started working on your next album. You said that's going to be a little bit darker. Tell me about the next album.
Next album, Floating in Limbo, it's called. It's some of the songs are darker, but it's an album more about changing the phase in your life. Like One Hell of a Ride is pure depression, and Floating in Limbo is more like, wait, who am I? Maybe I'm not who I thought I was. Now that I accept the obliviousness of myself, I can start changing as a person. And then a lot of fucked up shit happens.
Okay. Wow. Well,
Technically, the songs, the melodies, it's a bit more sophisticated. It's still simple. It's still like the first album. It's still punky, but I think the songs are better. They're written better.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm excited. Yeah, because I like the first album so far. I've liked all these songs on the One Hell of a Ride. So I'm excited. If the next one's going to be even better, then that should be great. And is Bumblefoot producing this one as well?
Well, that's what we agreed upon. We talked to him about it, and we're just hoping to find the right time to leave here. And
yeah, we still don't know when and where, but that's the plan.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, anything else you guys have on the horizon? Any other tour dates or anything like that, or any other projects?
Any other projects? I don't know. No, just get us out of here, please.
Not putting getting a song on a TV show or anything. That's a big thing that bands do now because you can't sell albums. You try to get your music in a TV show or movie or something like that.
We should.
Oh, yeah. That's one way to get exposure nowadays,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, besides
that would be awesome.
Yeah, besides doing podcasts.
We should try.
You write the theme for Dr. Phil or something.
Dr. Phil. You have a publicist now, right? What does a publicist do? Does that just help you set up interviews, or is there something else that she does?
Interviews and magazines and
reach
certain people.
She helped us a lot with premiering our videos and stuff like that.
Cool. All right, cool guys. Well, I do like to end each episode with a charity of the guest's choice. Is there a charity that you guys work with or you want to give a shout out to?
Is there a charity that we work with? Well, not exactly. I do work at I take care of schizophrenic patients in my job. I pay taxes, so technically I'm paying for their welfare.
Okay.
You can say that. But I would say that the minimum wage I get is pretty much charity to what I do as of right now.
Okay. Well, is there somewhere that people can donate to help that cause out, or a mental health organization?
Do you have? I mean, I bet you have like anything in America or
Okay, I'll find something and I'll put it in the notes and I'll put your website in there as well, and that's got all your links to YouTube and social media.
We're not too familiar with names, but anything that helps the cause of, you know, mental illness.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Well, thanks. I look forward to new music at some point too, and maybe hopefully a show down here in Arizona. If you ever get down this way, let me know.
Yeah.
All right.
We will.
Okay, thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you later.
All right, well, that's it for today. I want to thank Rob Carlyle of the Compulsions and the Dodies for taking the time to come on my show. Make sure to check out both bands on Spotify or wherever you get your music. I put their websites in the show notes along with their selected charities if you want to throw a few bucks that way. Make sure to follow Rob and Dodies on social media so you can keep up with all the latest that are happening. I'd love to see both bands live, but it seems like it could be a stretch to get them to come here, so I guess we'll see. Thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of your day, and remember, shoot for the moon.